And this is where I tell the story, right? Yesterday was like a chill day. Took the black car out. I'm all happy, you know. I raced it just a few days ago. Did some grocery shopping, like 2 runs. Went to Costco, you know, filled the trunk. Didn't really record it because, you know, nothing's really wrong with the car. Went to the store, pet store, whatever, and then afterwards it was sunset time, so I'm like, oh, I'll take the car for a little run just to keep myself happy and entertained, because that's what Porsches do. They bring happiness and entertainment. So took it for just a run up the hill towards the country, and then I was going to bring it back just for a drive, you know, 20-minute drive, kill some time before dinner. And on the way back, I'm doing a little whoop-de-whoop, you know, winding up the car in second gear, you know, and foot on the gas, 6,500 RPM goes by, put in a third gear, and then I look back and I see this big bellow of white smoke, and I'm like, what? I mean, a big bellow. And then I smell coolant. And with a rear engine car, you shouldn't smell coolant. So then I was like, damn it. So I'm limping the car down the freeway, and sure enough, 10 seconds later, coolant light turns on. I'm like, damn it. And I didn't bring out my phone or whatever. So then I'm like, well, the next off-ramp is about a mile away. I'll just limp it down there, watch the temps. Temperatures are both cool. Pull off next road that I can pull off to see the car. I pull off, turn the car off, and I look at the front, and water's just gushing out of where I had just replaced the coupler on the front left radiator, driver's side radiator, and I'm like, oh man. So, but I had just raced that car at the SCCA. I mean, like, drove it really hard, you know, 5,000 to 6,000 RPM for 3 minutes in a figure 8, and through figure 8 again, and got the car pretty darn hot, and punched it and all that other stuff, and so it popped and gave loose, and I'm like, damn it. And yeah. So then I had to limp it home another 2 to 3 miles. You know, I left it off for a minute so it would cool down a little, even though it wasn't hot, and then I limped it home, and luckily the Porsches hold a ton of coolant. So now I'm gonna go look at it, and I'm not looking forward to it, and I'm kind of irritated. I'm gonna take the bumper off for the 5th time, because most likely what's wrong is either I didn't put a hose clamp on correctly, possible, or the little C-clamp. You know, there's a little pin that holds in the little metal socket thing. I don't know. We'll take it apart and see. So, but aside from that, everything's good. I have another SCCA event in just a few days, but I guess I'm not bringing that car. So the Snowflake is going to stand up again. Actually, it's okay. I wanted to bring the Snowflake anyway. Just disappointed because I thought I'd really fixed this car and it was going to run for a long time. But these are all related to the intermix, or me being a poor mechanic, which is fun. Okay, so it's like the next day, because after I took the tires off, I didn't realize how little time I had. So I took the little fender thing off. So I took that off, and I wasn't quite sure which side of the thing leaked. I had a bad feeling it was me, because I'm a bad mechanic, and I did the same thing. So there's this male and female piece that goes in, and there's a clip that goes around to lock it in place, and obviously the clip was not in the right spot. Let me show you. All right, let me get a little light from my phone here. Okay. You see that? So this little clip needs to come out. I'll pull that out. But this was just loose in there. So, this little clip has a little line and it lines up these notches, and something tells me I didn't get it in there right. If not, it shouldn't have come out. So, that's the expensive mistake, because it dumped all the coolant out, or almost all of it. I think it dumped all of it. So, yeah. And then I'm gonna have to flush it, and it takes a lot of coolant, so $20 a gallon, 3 to 5 gallons, so yeah. Okay, here's a bad idea. I don't want to have to take this whole thing apart. I'm just gonna try and... Oh. Well, it looks good. I don't know if it is good. I intentionally didn't film or record me wrestling to put the tires back on the car. And I like to make a little note, this little PVC widget for the win. So we need to get out my torque wrench and torque the tires on correctly. It's 92 foot-pounds. I'm saying tires, wheels get torqued. The lug nuts for the wheels get torqued. 92. Nice. Okay, so I didn't show how I filled it up. There's a tool that you can use that you put on the reservoir, and then you use the air compressor to vacuum out all the air, and it'll siphon in all the coolant. Now, the fact that there's still a lot of coolant in the car, it never really works for me that well when I do that. So basically what I did is I just opened up the reservoir for the car, filled it with the coolant, started the car, let it run for a few minutes. Once it gets warm, the thermostat opens up and it allows more coolant to go in. And then after it does that fill, I let it warm up a little bit more and see if the temperature stays good, and it keeps putting in just a little bit of coolant. And then what I do is I usually just take it for a little drive up the road, like 2 blocks or back. We're talking like 100 meters, just to get the RPMs up for a sustained amount of time. You could probably just sit there and rev the car at like 3,000 RPM for, or 2,500 RPM for a minute. It'd probably do the same thing. And then put more coolant in it. And then usually after that one, because like I put in about gallon, car warmed up, thermostat opened up, it took another gallon, the car was warmed up, drove it up the block and back, put another half a gallon in it, and then I took it for another drive around the block, which is a little further, and then put like 1/4 of a gallon in it. And then once it seemed like it took a lot, then what I'll do is I'll take it for a hard run, let the car get warmed up, the oil get warmed up, and then I'll give it a good wind up in first gear all the way to redline. And that usually will force all the coolant through really fast. And then it took like another quart of coolant. So all in all, I leaked out 3.5 gallons of coolant. So the car holds 6. The trick on getting that coolant piece, if I didn't mention it, didn't show it very well, is the little clip that goes over. And I used a screwdriver to be sure it was perfectly aligned before they put the clip on. So if you put the clip on and the male piece is not properly inserted into the female piece, the clip isn't gonna get the notch. And so I made sure it was notched correctly before I put the clip on. So now it shouldn't have a problem. And on the way back, I'll probably do it, but just a little, just to be sure, because at higher RPM is when usually things leak or pop or not secured. So I'm not the good mechanic I think I am, but as with experience and learning from my mistakes, I'm getting better all the time. And that's all you should ask of yourself, is to improve. I'm like super excited because the SCCA is tomorrow for me, and we're gonna bring the snowflake and whoop-de-whoop it. So I'm super excited. All right, aloha.